What is up, guys? Wolfgang here. So today I'm going to be talking about the Apple event. I was going to make it a live stream, as you can see right here, but well, I got a warning, so might as well not do that. And well, the live stream was removed, so might as well make it a video showing you my thoughts on the new products that are released and the new event. Now, I am not really versed in the Apple ecosystem. I do not have any Apple products. However, with my limited use of these devices, I do have a fair idea of what I can say, and well, I did choose not to use an iPhone for a reason. So let's get into it. Now, first off, they opened the event talking about the Apple Watch Series 8, which, I mean, as far as watches go, it looks pretty good. Has a few good features, and well, some of them haven't really changed from what I can see, but let's get into it. So there's a new blood oxygen meter, which is a great thing to measure to see how your breathing is going. And also a new temperature sensor, which is great for several different uses to measure your body temperature or even menstrual cycles, which I have no information of and no knowledge of. So well, that can be good for you or it could be useless. I really have no experience. One of the great things they announced in this event is on crash detection, which I'm not a fan of the logo, but the point is that it's a great idea. So basically, with a bunch of new sensors and well, old ones as well, the watch is able to detect when you've had a crash, usually in this case a car crash, but it can also be falling off of a bicycle and so on and so forth. Now, this is a great thing in my opinion, as it's well not really a negative for it to be able to contact emergency services or preferred contacts to let them know that you've been in a crash. So I think that's a really great feature. I, well, don't have any experience with it, but I think it's a great thing to add. And well, next up they do mention that you can now measure or keep track of your sleep cycles, which is awesome. Although it has been on other watches for quite a long time, it's still a great addition to have. And then lastly, they do have a low power mode, which is always great to have in a watch. Now, I do have an issue with them, as usually they will make the watch experience not as great, but I don't think it'll be much of an issue on this watch. As well, they were talking about how it wouldn't restrict as much, how it wouldn't turn off everything, if not just, tweak a little bit, that way it wouldn't consume as much power and last you longer. And now, for the price, the GPS model is going to be $400 and the cellular model is going to be $500. I'd say it's a little bit on the pricey end, but I think it's fine, honestly. It has solid battery life and pretty good features. And well, if you haven't bought a smartwatch in general and you want to get into it, I think this is a great place to go. Now, next up, they talked about the Apple Watch SE, which I think is a pretty good product for who they're directing it to specifically. So it's basically an Apple Watch, but cheaper, which is absolutely not a negative. For the Apple Watch SE, well, it does have a bit of a faster processor, some water resistance, the crash detection, which is great to have not excluded from this watch. I think it's great that it's there. It has also the fall detection, Apple Pay, a bit of a larger display, which is good to see. Same with the sleep stages, it's all present. And well, there's a lot of colors, that's for sure. So, who is this watch directed to? In the event, they talked about how it can be useful to kids who don't have an iPhone yet, but do get a watch. Now, it does seem like an interesting case to me, as well, at least when I got a phone, smartwatches weren't even considered to be a thing, or wearables in general even. So I got my phone faster than my watch, but of course that was due to the times. I think it's a great idea in the sense because with this watch and, the Apple applications, you can, as a parent, sync this up to your cellular account or, for example, to your Apple Pay account or contacts and etc. And this way, your children can use the smartwatch for specific things without needing to have a phone. So they can call, for example, specific contacts that you allowed them to. They have access to emergency services, which is great to not exclude. But, well, point is that you can do a lot of stuff with the smartwatch and restrict it or allow it as much as you want for your kids, which I think is a great thing to have in general. Don't have kids currently, but these features are definitely a positive to have if you have kids. And even if you want to buy it for yourself, being not being apparent, I think it's a great watch overall. It has a pretty solid price of $250 and $300 for the cellular version. I do believe it should be a little bit cheaper personally. I would like to see it at $200 for GPS and $250 for cellular, but I think it's a decent price, especially if you don't even have a smartwatch. I already have a Galaxy Watch 4 Classic, I believe. I already forgot the name of it. So, well, this doesn't appeal to me, but it's definitely a good product to have in the stack. Next up, this one I do have a bit more of an issue with, specifically due to the price. This is the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, what's so ultra about it? Well, as you can see in most of the pictures, the design is more rugged in a sense. As you can see in this picture right here, the edges are no longer out of glass. It's not a curved screen anymore, but it's a flat screen. Now, metal is definitely more resistant than glass to shattering, which means that this is a pretty good implementation for who this is directed to, which is more extreme sport directed people. So that's definitely pretty nice. They also have a customizable action button, which looks pretty nice to, customize it to whatever you want. I'm not sure how flexible Apple will allow you to be with this, but it's definitely a good thing to have. You do get improved GPS, a night mode. You get more water resistance even than the previous, although it doesn't mean 100 meters, but well, point is you get more water resistance, and they do show it directed somewhat to scuba divers or people who, like to swim underwater basically, as it can be a, what do they call it, on dive computer, I believe it was called, which does have some features for it, and it looks great. The only issue is, from what I've seen, it does not connect to oxygen tanks to allow you to know how much oxygen you have left, which I believe would be a very important feature. But, well, I'm not a scuba diver, so I don't really have experience in that. Now, it does have something like I believe they said 86 decibel siren, which is for emergencies. Now, I am curious to know if that would pop or destroy your internal ear. But in an emergency situation, I guess it would be better for someone to be able to find you than to keep your ears and, be in a worse situation, perhaps. I'm not sure about this, but that's what I was thinking when I was watching the video. Now, they got all of their sensing once again, and well, all the Ultra models do come with cellular, which is, you'll see why in a bit. So yeah, here's the case once again that they're mentioning. The crown is a bit bigger as well. Now, it's supposed to have 60 hours of battery life. That seems awesome if the low power mode that they're saying here isn't as restrictive as something like most power saving options on smartwatches. Basically, what I wanted to do is not restrict me to exclusively seeing the time. Now, and here's some more certifications they got. They got a pretty bright screen, and well, lastly, they have new watch bands, which are supposed to fit whatever sport you buy it for. So this one is for like rock climbing, and it has like a G hook, which hooks into the other side of the band, which looks pretty cool. And then there's, I believe this one is the trail, which means, I believe it's Velcro. I couldn't really tell how it attaches. And lastly, this one's for underwater. Basically, it's made out of rubber. And well, this one looks pretty interesting to say the least, but it stretches and contracts and, fits a bit tighter than the rest according to them. And well, overall it's pretty nice. One of the greatest things I saw on the watch is a new waypoint system, in which basically when you're off the grid, the watch will activate automatically. Although you can activate it normally, it will start to place waypoints when you want it to. And that way, with the watch and the GPS that's on the watch, you can know where you've been, where you came from, and how to get back to where you were or where you want to go. So that is awesome. I believe it's a great feature, and I hope all watches can get it soon. Now, the price is my issue with this watch. $800 to me seems excessive, especially because you could buy an iPhone for that price. So it really depends what you prioritize and what you're looking for in a watch to determine if you want to pay $800 for a smartwatch. Not saying it's a bad price. I think it is excessive, to be honest. But, well, it depends how much you prioritize those products. I believe it should be around $600, and that price, I would think it was great to buy So if you find an offer for it at that price, I think it's awesome, and you could go for it if, of course, you're willing to have a little bit of a thicker watch and have all the features is important to you. So next up is the Airpods Pro Generation 2. I didn't see them call it Airpods Pro 2 or anything in that sense. So what's new? Well, basically, there's not much new things, but they're useful additions. So let's get into it. So now there's a lanyard loop. I don't know how many people use lanyards currently, but sure. There's 2 times more active noise cancellation. What does that mean? I have no clue. But it's great that it's definitely been improved. You can also now take a picture of the side of your head. That way the AirPods can customize the spatial audio to your head specifically, which is cool. Well, they have the Find My stuff, which is awesome if you lose. And the AirPods case now has a speaker as well to be able to find it easier. And now, well, they have touch controls, which they always did, but this time you can also slide up and down to control the volume on them, which is great to have more options on what to do while only using the earbuds or the AirPods. Now there's more ear tips, which is great to get the correct seal on your ear and for it to fit nicely. It has a new 48 kilohertz audio, which is very good for audio quality. Of course, if you are able to, or if you have a service that provides 48 kilohertz audio, that means you'll have more of an authentic sound to your music or whatever you're watching. So there's more battery life. You can now engrave an emoji. Active transparency modes, which I never use on my noise canceling devices. You can get 6 hours of battery life on the AirPods themselves, which is 2 hours more than previous generation, which is great. And well, a useful feature they have now is that it can also be charged now through the Apple Watch charging, which is great if you have something like a dual wireless charger for iPhones that have one side have MagSafe for your phone and now the other side have for the watch. Now you can use that exact same wireless charger to charge up the AirPods, which is great, I'd say. And well, these come for a price of $250, which for noise canceling earbuds sounds pretty normal in my opinion. However, well, you can get deals, for example, from Samsung if you buy the new Galaxy Buds 2 Pro or Pro 2. I'm not sure about the order currently on those two words, but you can get deals for up to like $150 for the new ones if you do a trade-in and pre-order deals, etc. So just keep an eye out for the Apple site to see if they're any cheaper there. This was for me the most annoying part on the whole event. As well, the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus were announced, which are basically a iPhone 13. So let's get into it. Of course, there were some changes to say the least. Now it seems there's a brighter screen. Now there were some camera improvements. The front camera definitely has autofocus now, which is great. Ultra wide. There's a new photonic engine which applies to several phones. It doesn't apply only to the new 14 models. Crash detection, which is great. Action mode, which is video stabilization for when you're filming something that involves a lot of movement, which is a great feature to have. Improved battery life. There's a little bit of a better GPU than last generation, but it is still an A15, which is the processor of last year. And now, don't take me wrong, you will not notice any improvement between the 15 and the 16 in most cases, but I think it's unfair to sell it in the next year. So well, it comes with MagSafe, 5G, and well, here are the sizes for the two. So not much has actually improved, and the processor really bothers me. What is great about the new iPhones that I can admit I'm somewhat jealous of is emergency SOS via satellite. This is great for emergency cases, of course, as using the phone, it will direct you on where to point your phone directly towards the satellite, and then you can send messages through there and communicate to, in case of an emergency, not be lost, which is awesome. And then, well, The iPhone 14 comes for $800, the same price as the Apple Watch Ultra, and the iPhone 14 Plus comes at $900. And now the Pro models, which, I mean, what can I say? I was excited, disappointed, and fine with it now, but besides the roller coaster of emotions, there's finally a new design for the front. So instead of a notch, as you can see on the iPhone 14, now they have a pill-shaped cutout. Now, what annoys me a little bit about this is that in leaks, they also showed that this small part between the infrared emitter and sensor and camera, there was a bit of screen left there. So it basically ended up as an I shape, which I thought would have been pretty cool considering it's called iPhone. As maybe you could make a boot sequence which would just like show phone going downwards and have this be the I of iPhone. But, well, it didn't happen and doesn't seem like there will be an option, but we'll see. In the end, this is better than a notch in my opinion, but let's get into it. Now, one of the cool things they mentioned to not make this as useless, let's say, is what they call Dynamic Island. That's what they call this thing, right? So the name is a bit weird, I know. But the point is that now it will show notifications and adapt to be able to, well, not look as annoying. So as you can see here, it'll be in the small camera. So as you can see, it'll contract and then expand. That way you don't have to, that way you can have options, and it looks pretty dynamic. It looks pretty cool, I gotta admit. But it's still a pill-shaped cutout, which is fairly annoying. In the end, at least they made it somewhat useful, I guess. But, well, it's up to you how useful that feature would be. Now then, they also announced always on display, which is cool, I guess, because, you know, glance at your phone and see different information. They did implement it differently than Android, which I can appreciate, as now instead of only showing you, for example, the time and if there's any notification logos, it will also show your background picture just very dimmed down. And what's helpful about this, as it is an OLED screen, is that they're using new Samsung technology on their screens that makes it LTPO, which means that it can change between 1 Hz and 120 Hz. 120 Hz makes it feel really smooth, and 1 Hz makes it feel extremely choppy, but that will only activate in something static like an always on display. That way it won't create any burn-in in your phone, and well, it won't consume battery as well. Consume as much battery at least. And so if we quickly get into the specifications of the phone, you have the emergency SOS via satellite, which is awesome and already explained. You get the crash services, you get the new A16 chip, which is great if you really need it. I mean, it's not a computer. So you get ProMotion, which is basically the smoothness of the screen. You get the action mode on the camera, new and improved camera with great sensors and the new photonic engine for image processing. You get a new brighter screen with 2000 nits peak brightness. And of course these screens do come from Samsung. And well, lastly, the Dynamic Island, which I'd say is the coolest thing perhaps, but at the same time it's more of a solution to a problem. But yeah. Now the iPhone 14 Pro comes at a price of $1,000, and the iPhone 14 Pro Max comes at $1,100, which I think is a fine, okay price in my opinion, as well most brands are actually going higher than that. So I think it's a good option. So that was the Apple event. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. I'm personally not really a Apple fan. I would like to try the iPhone 14 Pro to have a glance at the dark side. As you can tell on my channel, I mostly buy Android or Windows stuff, and so I'd like to give it a shot, to give it a try, you know, figure it out, see if I like it or not. Most likely won't, or will still prefer Samsung or Androids, but I would like to try it out, and I'll let you know if I get one, and I'll definitely post a video about it. So that was the Apple event. Thank you very much for watching, guys, If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss out on the next videos I release. And hit the bell icon that way you get notified when I do. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Have a great day.